I mean, anytime you don't win a championship, I don't see how it could be successful.
Golden State taking the Pelicans in 5.
You got people in your ear like, should I stay? Should I go? You're in your prime of your life. You're putting up career numbers, and yet it's a chance he might not even make the playoffs.
So Anthony Davis requested a trade.
He has no intention of signing an extension.
Anthony Davis has requested a trade from the Pelicans.
Everybody knows that it's official. He wants out.
But it's kinda complicated.
The entire course of the NBA could completely change.
If you guys really want me, y'all got between now and the trade deadline to make it happen.
I don't believe that the Pelicans are going to be cooperative.
We've heard New Orleans say repeatedly, we're not trading him no matter what happens.
The idea of Anthony Davis as a rental.
What is up, dudes, dudettes, ballers, players? It's your boy MJ. Alright, so Rich Paul, Anthony Davis' agent, also LeBron's agent, made the statement that Anthony Davis has no intentions of re-signing with the Pelicans and wants to be traded because Davis wants to contend for championships, yada yada yada. Y'all have heard that already. But what I think is interesting and what everyone is wondering are the trade destinations. Where will Anthony Davis actually go, and what does it mean long term, because Anthony Davis is only 25 and his contract ends in 2020, meaning that he's still with the Pelicans in this upcoming offseason. I am going to talk about the potential in Anthony Davis trade to the Lakers and all the wrongs and rights with it, because I'm not sure if Anthony Davis would re-sign with the Lakers. But first, let's add some context. Everyone has realistically narrowed down their options to the Lakers and Celtics as possible trade destinations for Anthony Davis and put the pressure on Magic Johnson to get a deal done for Anthony Davis. With the Derrick Rose rule, a team can only have one player by trade who is under the Rose extension rule, which is a contract extension that can be offered if a player in his first 4 seasons wins MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, or twice been an All-Star starter, or twice voted onto an All-NBA team. The team can then offer 30% of the salary cap as a contract extension, and so right now both Kyrie and Anthony Davis are under that extension. Since the Celtics acquired Kyrie by trade, they have to wait until Kyrie's contract is up this season to trade for AD. This rules out the Celtics from this trade deadline, but they are still very much in the hunt, and them as a possible option in the future puts more pressure on other teams to make a deal right now, since the Celtics have many assets like Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Hayward, and draft picks. And you know Danny Ainge is scheming. Danny Ainge is a wizard when it comes to these things. I mean, he legit robbed the Nets. Then keep in mind that the Pelicans were somewhat defined in their public address, specifically their second part of their statement. Relative to specific talks of a trade, we will do this on our own terms and our own timeline, one that makes the most sense for our team, and it will not be dictated by those outside of our organization. We have also requested the league to strictly enforce the tampering rules associated with this transaction. By saying that they're going to do it on their own timeline is enforcing that they aren't in a rush to get rid of Davis, and so they are really looking for the best offer. Because the Pelicans will go into rebuilding mode after all this. They have Randall and Evan Drew, but everyone else are role players. Seriously, AD, you played years with these lineups? Damn, man. Damn. That's why the furthest they got is the second round. They need young pieces in return to develop them and hopefully build a super team. Anthony Davis is a top 5 player, and so you can never really get AD value back, but you gotta get a lot of good pieces with potential in return. The Pelicans also knew that Davis was gonna ask for a trade. They tried to steer him away from Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, but once he did sign, the Pelicans knew he would be gone. And so they've had ample time to prepare since the last fall when he did sign with Rich Paul. Asking the league to strictly enforce tampering rules is interesting because it suggests the Pelicans are kinda wary of Rich Paul and LeBron and the Lakers' history of tampering. LeBron said he would love to have Davis play with him, and the Lakers got fined when they used back channels to communicate with Paul George during his free agency. Either the Pelicans are being extremely petty, or they really think the Lakers or LeBron convinced Davis to not re-sign. We all know that even if that was true, Davis has been suffering for a long time on a Pelicans team that has failed to give him any sort of help besides Boogie, who got injured. So now we move on to the Lakers for this trade deadline since they have the most assets to offer. Other teams could offer current stars, but the Pelicans have already had that and it didn't work, so they're gonna want young potential. On top of that, Davis probably won't re-sign with almost any team. Sources have said that the Pelicans want any trade talk to start with Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Zubac, and a first-round draft pick. Now, there's a lot to break down here. One, reports came out that Lonzo Ball's camp has said that Lonzo isn't interested in playing for the Pelicans. I know, it's a lot of people talking for other people. Apparently, Lonzo wants to play for a team who doesn't have an established point guard if he's not in LA. I don't classify Elfrid Payton as an established point guard. And Drew Holiday is a 2-guard, but this could all be a deter to trade talks, or Lonzo really does see Payne as competition. Wow. Second, I see a lot of people saying that the Lakers need to hold on to Kyle Kuzma for dear life, that he is the best third option besides stars like LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And to all those people, I want to ask, what is Kuzma's potential? Like, if everything went right and Kuzma developed to his max, what would be his potential? You would hope, you would wish that he could become like Anthony Davis, a guy averaging 30 and 13 while being a defensive beast and handling the ball. And that would be a best case scenario. Kuzma is 23 and Davis is 25. If I had to choose, I would give up Ingram over Kuzma, but trading Kuzma is not a deal breaker. I'm not saying Kuzma can't develop like that, but what I'm saying is that if you're given an opportunity to get a player like Anthony Davis and you have to give up a guy like Kuzma who you hope can develop into that player you're trading for, you go for it, because you also don't know how long LeBron will be able to play at this level. Speaking of LeBron, let's talk about this whole re-signing business. Everyone assumed that the Lakers are a team that Anthony Davis would re-sign with because he's in a big market now. Davis is leaving the Pelicans so that he can contend and win championships because he hasn't had success with the Pelicans. Now his contract ends in 2020 when Davis turns 27, meaning that is when it's supposed to be his big contract year, when he decides where he will be spending his prime, because NBA players' primes are usually around the age of 27. Of course, Anthony Davis will still want to win championships and be on the contending team for most of his prime, but will the Lakers be that team? I know it's impossible to say, but LeBron ain't gonna be playing at this level forever. I mean, unless the Bleacher Report special is right, and he does play into 2050. Man, that would be crazy. We don't know when that is, and if the Lakers trade their young core and LeBron begins to slow down, will the Lakers team with AD and old LeBron and role players be enough to face the super teams after the Warriors? That's a question AD will have to consider, and at that point, I don't know if AD would actually re-sign. LeBron James would be 35 by the time Davis' contract is up, and yes, he could play great until he's 37, but is that enough? The Lakers will still have cap and can pursue another star, and maybe that's enough. But the Celtics with a young Kyrie might look more appealing at that point. The whole point is not to be stuck on an okay team that makes the playoffs but isn't a real contending team. And so the Celtics definitely would fill that criteria up. I do have to play devil's advocate though and say that he did sign with Rich Paul, and so the connection with LeBron is strong and that he probably is willing to play with him. The Pelicans are once again in no rush to trade, and so the Lakers would have to trade a lot to get to Anthony Davis. Davis is that special, but I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't include Lonzo in any trade package. If you're trying to fill out roster spots and have solid role players, Lonzo would be a great role player that can fit with those two stars without taking away what they do and instead adding on to their offensive potential while being a defensive fit. And obviously Lonzo would continue to develop his game and grow, but I'm saying that based off what I see today. Ingram is a guy who would just take away from Davis, and I think Kuzma would be alright, but still at odds because Kuzma is great with the ball in his hands, and Davis would probably take more of the ball than Kuzma would. Kuzma can play well off ball, but AD would be in the positions Kuzma is already great in, like the low block or the top of the key, and so Kuzma would have to find different spots to go to. Otherwise, the spacing of the offense would be off. If Lonzo is an absolute necessary necessary trade piece, then yeah, trade him. But he's more of a fit with LeBron and AD handling the scoring load. So a trade to the Lakers could be in the works, but the Pelicans have all the power and can wait. Still, even if Anthony Davis does get traded to the Lakers or any other team, I just don't know whether he'll re-sign, and then you have a Kawhi Leonard rental situation. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about this whole situation and the truth about Anthony Davis trade, because keep in mind, you don't know where he's gonna re-sign. But what do you think? Where will Anthony Davis end up? Will he get traded before the deadline? Drop a like for Anthony Davis, cause that man's special. The Instagram shout of the day goes to Spencer Brown, and the all-day notification watch shout goes to Abdi Wahab. Thanks for the all-day support. Make sure to bell for all-day notifications, and if you're not a sub, hit that subscribe button, join the all-day community for more fire content, all-day support. It's your boy MJ. We out.
Patience, so let's get high, let's get wasted. Okay, just hop in my spaceship, no.